Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? 24, 2023, coming up on Roland Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. After Louisiana's Democratic gubernatorial candidates could not secure more than 26% of the vote, they're pointing fingers and trying to regroup. One candidate who did not get much support from the state's leading Democrats will join us to discuss the party's future. The youth vote is becoming harder to secure. The president of NextGen America will be here to let us know what's needed to get them to the polls. Moms of Liberty is facing opposition from the Stop Moms of Liberty movement. We'll talk about that. Plus a fourth Trump co-defendant who was shedding tears in court today in Georgia. She was kind of bold, remember, when Jenna Ellis was indicted. She ain't as bold right now. Plus, in today's Marketplace segment, a black-owned lifestyle golf brand that's creating a more inclusive future for golf and making the sport accessible for all. We'll talk with the founders of Eastside Golf. It is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the fine. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Louisiana's Democratic Party must pick up the pieces after a disastrous primary election. They even turned their political backs on a veteran Democrat representing the uptown New Orleans State House District. Even though Governor John Bel Edwards, who's a Democrat, endorsed Mandy Landry's opponent, she won her re-election to the State House outright with 66% of the vote. We call that a blowout. Louisiana State Representative Mandy Landry joins me now from New Orleans to discuss the future of the state's Democratic Party. Glad to have you on the show, Representative Landry. First of all, this is what I'm confused by. So folks were angry at you because they said you are progressive. You represent a progressive district. They run someone against you. The party hierarchy is sitting here supporting that person against you. You crush her with 66% of the vote. And I'm going, how in the world are you spending more effort to take out one of your own and not to hold on to the governor's mansion?
This is what they've become. And the reason they wanted me out, it wasn't even my politics. It's that I've been calling them out for a couple of years now. The party chair is incompetent and she has not raised any money. She has not recruited. I think she just takes selfies all the time. They haven't recruited down ballot. They didn't help Sean. They didn't do any get out the vote. And the party insiders don't like that. They want you to be on their team or get out. And I think what I showed is that people don't like that. The governor of the state endorsed the opponent of a female politician who was best known for reproductive rights advocacy, and I beat her by 40 points. So that shows people don't want what Democratic leadership wants. People want us to run to the left. They want us to run on issues like abortion and workers' rights and minimum wage and legalizing marijuana, and that's what they want us to do, and they showed that in New Orleans on last Saturday. When
I look at, again, when I look at states, I sort of look at exactly how states are made up. I look at different things. First of all, we talk about Louisiana with nearly a third of the state African American. And when I look at these numbers, the numbers are abysmal in terms of when you have these elections. When I look at the fact that Sean Wilson raised, about $611,000, it seemed to be everybody's thought was a foregone conclusion that he was going to get into a runoff. And that was, we'll focus on the runoff. Well, you sat around and allowed Landry to get a 50%. Also, you had 16 people running jungle primary, which I get in terms of the top two vote getters. If you don't get 50%, But it seemed as if there was just no strategy involved whatsoever. I was talking to a lot of third-party groups saying, hey, who's involved, who's going down there? Folks were like, we'll see with the runoff. Black Voters Matter, they were on the ground there. There were some other groups trying to do some stuff on the ground there. But it seems as if you frankly had a Democratic governor who didn't mind Democratic votes to get reelected when he barely won, and then said, oh, I'm term limited, the hell with y'all, I'm good. You handle this on your own.
Yeah, so first I want to tell everyone I am not related to the governor-elect. Landry is a very common last name in Louisiana. But you're right about the current governor. He's a great wartime governor. He got us through COVID. He got us through so many natural disasters. But one thing he has not done is help recruit and elect legislative candidates and other candidates. I don't think he did very much to help Sean Wilson, unfortunately. He didn't help him raise money. I mean, put it this way. You said he raised $600, which I believe you. I haven't looked. I raised $200,000 for our House rep race. I mean, this is ridiculous. But when I really started to realize what was about to happen, it was about 2 or 3 weeks before the election. And my district is about half white and about half black and brown. And I was going around the district talking to my chronics. And I said, do you know who's running for governor from the Democratic Party? Have you heard of a man named Sean Wilson? And most people had no idea what I was talking about. And that's when I started feeling a sense of dread. Election day, uptown, I was the only person on the ground. There wasn't a single person out there getting out the vote or passing out flyers. And in thinking about it, I've been thinking, was this negligence by the state party and the governor, or was this some sort of intentional situation? Because it was appalling, the sheer lack of support that they gave to Sean Wilson. He's a good man. He didn't deserve that.
So, see, what jumps out at me, again, what I'm looking at is the interest of the people. I'm looking at policies. I'm looking at Jeff Landry when he was Attorney General, who literally targeted black areas by wanting to open the records for juveniles. Yes. I'm looking at somebody who wants to be like Greg Abbott on the national stage, who's probably going to look at the playbook of Ron DeSantis and try to go as hard right as possible in the state. Also, the poorest showing of Democrats has now given Republicans a supermajority in the legislature so they can run the table. So the future for a state that's 1/3 African-American, where you also have a lot of other Democratic or progressive white voters, poor folks as well, it is going to be hell over the next 4 years in Louisiana.
Yes. So I just finished my first term, and it was bad enough being a Democrat from New Orleans, because in addition to everything you mentioned, there's so much hate on New Orleans up there. It's historical. It's race-based. It's party-based. They take a lot of our money and then don't send it back. And
right. It's sort of like Jackson, Mississippi. So they hate New Orleans, but let's just be honest. Overall, Louisiana is a broke state. So New Orleans is the economic driver for the state, just like Jackson, Mississippi is economic driver. And in Mississippi, they hate Jackson because it's a black city. That's why they hate New Orleans.
Yep. And you know this when I hear, I don't want to go down to New Orleans, it's full of Democrats. Come on, we all know exactly what that means. New Orleans is an international city. People come here from all over the world. And we're crumbling in part because the state doesn't want to help us with the biggest moneymaker in the state. But getting back to your original question, as difficult as it's been the past 4 years, we always had the governor as a backstop. We had him, we had the threat of a veto, we had line item vetoes, we got help from his office on policy issues. It was very important to have him there. And now we're not going to have that. And when I'm being very honest with people, my greatest hope is that because there's so many Republicans and because they all want to be in charge, and they're all white men, by the way, over 50 or so, because they all want to be in charge, they're going to fissure sooner or later. They can't all be in charge, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And there's going to be a lot of legislation, especially money related, that they're going to need votes on. And unfortunately, that is my greatest hope with the next 4 years.
You mentioned all of the white men there. I look at the sheriff's situation. 63 sheriffs in the state, 63 all men, 57 white men. And there was even one of those areas where it was a blue parish county for the rest of us. They didn't even run anybody. I'm like, the hell? You're guaranteed not to have power if you don't run anybody.
Yep. So something I did not know before being elected is that sheriffs are basically the most powerful people in the state of Louisiana. And a funny little story is last year I filed a bill to term limit them because we have term limits in the legislature. The governor has term limits. Conservatives love term limits. So I said, let's file term limits on sheriffs, 12 years, 3 terms of 4, and anyone in now, it would start over. When I tell you that 45, I think, or 47 of sheriffs showed up to that committee room for my bill to stare down the members to say, we don't need term limits on us. They are so exceptionally powerful. They decide what happens in the Capitol, them and some of the business interests and, of course, right to life. And it's something people don't understand. It's hard to mount a challenge to a sheriff considering how much money they control and how many jobs they control. We do have one female sheriff in New Orleans. She's the 64th sheriff, and our situation is a little bit different with NOPD and OPP, and she's not the tax collector here. But you're right. That's so much of the problem in Louisiana is there is so much constitutional authority granted to these 64 people, and they take full advantage of it.
So, party's in shambles. We reached out to the party chair. Love to have a conversation with her. Have not heard back. And so, are you and others? Are y'all going to try to do a complete takeover of the party? Call out the weak leadership. Bring in younger voices, folks who want to do the work and say, listen, this has to be rebuilt from the ground up in many ways, what the folks in Florida had to do.
Yeah, so ground up is the only way to do this. It's how I was elected. It's how you had my good friend Devontae on last week. We're ground up people. That's where the power comes from. And when you're elected only by voters and not money, you're only beholden to your voters. In terms of the party, we're fortunate that her term is going to be over early in the spring. So we're going to be able to elect new people to our state central committee who will hopefully elect someone new. That is a big process because there's a lot of entrenched power in the Democratic Party in this state. However, there's always more of us than of them. There's more progressives. There are more Black voters who don't want the party to be like this anymore. There's more people in New Orleans. I think we can do it. But as you saw, as you mentioned, the governor of the state tried to kick me out of office. And I am a lowly state representative, so it's going to be hard to do that. But that is our plan.
All right. Well, we're certainly looking forward to seeing what happens there, because at the end of the day, and this is the thing that I stress, this is not always a situation of, well, a D or an R. It's what is going to be the impact of the policies passed when a D or an R is in charge. And for my audience, for African Americans, that is absolutely going to have a devastating impact. And so the whole goal is how do you play defense and mitigate those policies? But when they are in control of the House and the Senate and the governor's mansion, that is a problem.
Yes, and it's more of a problem now without the backstop of the governor. I think the governor-elect's first priority is going to be rolling back criminal justice reform. As you and your viewers probably know, Louisiana is the most incarcerated state in the country and one of the most incarcerated places in the world. And we were able to change that with some nonviolent offenders several years ago, and they're trying to roll that back. They're trying to put 17-year-olds in adult jail. There's a lot they want to do that is unconstitutional, so we're going to depend on outside lawyers and the ACLU for some of that. In terms of economics, there is a great concern that there will be rollback of Medicaid expansion. I am less worried about that because in many areas, the local hospital is the only employer. So I think we will have to keep that for now. But I am worried about what they're going to do with the criminal system and what that's going to mean for the poorest people. We've been trying to legalize recreational marijuana for so long. We really need the money, and the sheriffs won't allow it. because they want to be able to arrest people because of the odor of marijuana, allegedly. I don't think we're going to make progress on all these issues, but I think with a lot of it, we can hold the line with some moderates who are also scared at how far this governor is going to go. They just won't say it publicly.
All right, then. Well, look, in order to change things, it requires folks who are willing to fight. And so that's what's really important. There's Representative Mandy Landry. Continue to keep it up.
Thank you very much for having me.
We appreciate it.
And
Thanks
for paying attention to my state.
Oh, well, absolutely. Well, listen, my grandparents are from my maternal grandparents from Opelousas, Louisiana. So I've got a lot of relatives who are still there. So quite familiar with Louisiana. Good, good. Well, thanks again. All right, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Folks, got to go to a break. We come back, we'll break this thing down with my panel, talk about some other news of the day. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button, folks, and support us in what we do here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. That is, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. So you're checking money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Peace, I'm Faraji Muhammad, host of The Culture. And brothers, we need to talk. There's been much discussion about the state of the black man in our community. Whether it's in politics, education, or in the home, my brothers, we are struggling to lead the way, which is why The Culture will be hosting the Black Men Summit, where we'll be redefining and celebrating black manhood. This special series will kick off on the 28th anniversary of the historic Million Man March on Monday, October the 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be talking to some of Black America's most prolific, dynamic, thought-provoking black men activists, scholars, and leaders about our role, our power, and our future. So tune in and join the conversation as an online culture crew member for The Culture's Black Men Summit, redefining and celebrating black manhood. Starting Monday, October 16th through Friday, October 20th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time each day, right here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network.
Next on The Frequency with me, Dee Barnes, actress, writer, and advocate Ray Dawn Chong is here to discuss her childhood and break down her life in Hollywood, a show you don't want to miss. Well, even at my peak when I was getting a lot of stuff, as soon as I was working a ton, I heard people whispering, oh, we don't want to pay her because we're giving her a break. Only on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman. Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, my panel today, Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA out of D.C., Dr. Larry J. Walker, assistant professor, University of Central Florida, out of Florida, Joy Cheney, founder of JOI Strategies and former chief of staff to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, of course, and former head of the public policy for the National Urban League. Glad to have all three of you here. I'm going to start with you, Larry. So here's that I need people to understand why I'm sort of focusing, if you will, on Louisiana. And this is, again, a lot of people make this mistake. They go, oh, well, you're locked in on party. No, I'm going where the black people are. I'm also going where the policies are that speak to black people. So perfect example. You just heard Representative Mandy Landry say they're going to fight to protect criminal justice reform. That got done in Louisiana because you had a Democratic governor. Here you now have a MAGA Republican who is going to be the governor. And trust me, there were people, they had their voting rights restored in Louisiana. That made a difference in the last election and John Bel Edwards winning in the runoff, trust me, they're going to try to roll that back. When we start looking at other areas that African Americans are fighting for, there's a very clear and stark contrast between how Republicans vote and Democrats vote. And I think a lot of black people make the mistake when they get caught up in Democrats ain't this, they ain't this, they ain't that. I understand demanding things to form our community, but let me be perfectly clear. This is an example, criminal justice reform. All these Republicans, they run around talking about, and some of these black folks, and I see them on social media, talking about, Donald Trump let all the black people out of jail. Then I go, I'm sorry, that was a Democratic-controlled House that passed the First Step Act. When it went to the Senate, it was Democrats like Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Cory Booker, Senator Kamala Harris, and Republican Charles Grassley, who said, bill not strong enough. So when we're talking about black people, we do have to have a Democrat versus Republican conversation, because whoever's in charge has a direct impact on policies and black people.
Yeah, Roland, I think what you just described is really important, and particularly as we go into the election for next year, I'm really concerned. Obviously, you spent the last a few weeks talking about Louisiana, and recently, the numbers we talked about from the recent election are really troubling, particularly as it relates to the black community. And listen, as someone who's from a state that the Republicans control both chambers in Tallahassee, and the governor controls, obviously, the Republican governor. I can tell the black folks in Louisiana, this is not what you want. And you talk about some of the rollbacks, some of the issues that black people really care passionately about, criminal justice reform, et cetera. When you have, like you said, a governor who sought to release, like you said, the records of juveniles, specifically black juveniles located in black areas, it's really it gives you an idea of what black folks are in for over the next couple of years. And it's really dark days in the state of Louisiana. And like I said, I can speak from personal experience as someone who's in the state of Florida. But the bottom line is, the Democratic Party at the state apparatus has to do a better job. And also, obviously, we talk about what happens in D.C. and DNC, and putting the resources necessary in the South. The South has something to say. Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, et cetera. That's where a lot of black folks, a lot of our members of the black community throughout the United States live in the South. We have to put the resources in the states like Louisiana to make sure brothers and sisters have the right to walk the streets. And also, if they go to jail, that they're released in a reasonable time.
The thing here, Mustafa, again, when you start breaking all of this down, we have to just understand, on the local level, you have what is called nonpartisan races. But even in many of these cases, they're partisan. The reality is, when we start talking about, again, policies, what happens when folks are in power, there is a distinct difference between when Republicans are in power and Democrats are in power. There's a distinct difference between policies that we're talking about. Perfect example, Medicaid expansion. Right now, there's a governor's race in Mississippi. You have a governor in Tate Reeves who said that when he was state treasurer, he purposely did not fund many initiatives there for Jackson, Mississippi. You have a governor who is white, Brandon Presley, who is running neck and neck, but who is talking about Medicaid expansion, who's talking about issues that directly go to the heart for African Americans. And I just think that what happens is there are a lot of people who spend so much time listening to loudmouths on social media say things and not understand, whether you like it or not, there are two parties in this country. And if you have to start listing policies that matter to you, there's a distinction between Democrats and Republicans.
Without a doubt. Let's talk a little bit about policy there in Louisiana. So the person who's going to be the new governor has actually been fighting to allow more air pollution into the lungs of Black folks there in Louisiana. Why does that matter? Because we have an area there called Cancer Alley, runs between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, has incredibly high rates of cancer. And the more of this air pollution that you allow to pump out, because he's been saying that, you know, these plants should be able to have more emissions going up, that means more Black folks going to die. That means that all the kids who have asthma are going to have a harder time in going to school. So since let's talk a little bit about education. On the education side, he has also said that he's against the woke agenda, the language that they like to use, therefore making sure that there are less resources that are actually going to Black schools, making sure that DEI is not being honored, and a number of other things that are a part of that. So when our folks say, well, it really doesn't matter if we vote, yeah, your life is literally hanging by a thread based upon what these folks have said that their policy agenda are. And the other part of it also is around those congressional maps. Most folks don't know that he's the person who is defending those congressional maps. So whether you want to talk about your health, education, or your ability to vote, the person who's going to be the next governor there in Louisiana has been doing everything in his power to make sure that you are in a much more difficult situation.
The thing here, as I really again look at this, Joy, is again, and I talked about this here. Look, my parents were co-founders of a civic club in Houston, so I saw from the age of 7 and 8 up close, politics on the micro level. I saw it, what happens with, okay, how does that overgrown lot, okay, who controls that? Who cuts that grass? How can we get that house demolished? How can we get the house condemned and then torn down? How do we deal with, okay, we need more sewer systems. We need our park refurbished. We need street lights, all those different things. So I grew up watching the minutia of politics. And I saw what happens when certain politicians look at low-income neighborhoods and provide services. So I'm speaking as somebody who, since I was 7 and 8 years old, saw it for real. There are a lot of people who are rightfully frustrated and angry and saying, I haven't seen enough happen. But I can also look at what things do happen. You worked in the United States Senate. A lot of people really have no clue what senators do. It's not just what bill was passed. It's literally how a senator or a member of Congress can change a word in a bill that could result in millions and billions of dollars flowing to different groups. And what I think people are not grasping is what is going to happen in your state when it comes to state politics, federal politics, when these things shift. Where do resources go? Where do interests go? And I'm going to do a whole show on Project 2025 that these Republicans are planning. And I'm telling you, people out here who are saying, I'm not going to vote, I don't care, I'm going to sit this one out, do not fully understand that if you think something isn't happening now, wait until they have all of the power, meaning MAGA Republicans.
That's right. When Donald Trump first won, many of us were devastated. Everyone was devastated, a lot of people. But some of us weren't devastated just that he won and that he would be president. We were thinking about all of the other nominees that were going to flow from that. The judges, all of the small decisions, who sets budget policy, what's initially in the first package, what deals are the small things that no one ever sees. Well-paid lobbyists, they see it, they're focused there, but the average American person doesn't understand how their rights are undermined every day. And we understood what the power would be if Republicans, and especially MAGA Republicans, were in charge. Friends, that will come back, but it will come back with the confidence of being a second term when they literally can do whatever they want. It is paramount and frankly a matter of our democracy that we just cannot have these people in charge again. Have we not learned? I mean, my goodness, sometimes things happen and you are supposed to learn from them. We have seen what can happen when you have Donald Trump. To do it again would be just disastrous and really, would question whether or not we want the country we say we do. And so I say to everyone who's frustrated, I get it. And frankly, it's Democrats' fault, right? Because you can't just assume people are going to know what you're doing.
Yep.
You just can't assume. You have to actually fight for their votes. And that is, to bring it back to what we've been talking about in Louisiana, not fighting affirmatively, aggressively for the Black vote, for the vote of people who are poor, for the Latino vote, for, the vote of other marginalized groups. That is a malpractice. And after you do that, of course, people will believe almost anything. They're disappointed that they haven't gotten what they wanted and what they expected and what they were promised. That makes sense. So I'm not blaming people. But guys, we have not yet seen how bad it's going to be. We've seen a little bit. It'll be far worse if we give these people a second bite at the apple of destroying our democracy.
Well, for me, I am blaming people who don't stay involved in the process. So I'm not going to let folks off the hook. And so that's something important. All right, folks, hold on one second. We come back. We're going to talk about the power of the young vote and how critical that is. But as I keep saying, if they vote their numbers, stuff changes across the country. How do we get them to vote their numbers? You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Jamia Pugh. I am from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, just an hour right outside of Philadelphia.
My name is Jasmine Pugh. I'm also from Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay right here.
The largest group of eligible voters in America are not, I repeat, are not baby boomers. They're actually millennials and Gen Z. Yet, when it's time to actually vote, we know who votes at a higher rate. Folks who are 60+ years old. I hear from a lot of young folks who say, I'm sick of these old folks, I'm tired of them running, I'm tired of them being in charge. But the only way you replace them is if you run and you win. and you vote. Now, right now, there are a lot of young voters who are not happy with the Biden administration of what's happening between Israel and Gaza, and they're taking to social media platforms to tell people not to actually vote. This particular user on TikTok used her platform to explain why that could end up in disaster.
Okay, I need all my creators to come to the front. I want y'all to listen to this. Hold on.
I voted for Biden in 2020. I have never liked him, and when I first heard that he was going to be the Democratic candidate, I said that I wasn't going to vote in 2020, but I felt like it was important, and I felt like he was the lesser of two evils, and I still feel that. But after today, I cannot imagine voting for him in 2024.
We will not vote in 2024 if you...
This message is for Joe Biden. You've already lost. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. My generation is going to make sure that doesn't happen.
If the Democratic Party is not seeing these numbers and are still acting delusional, they cannot complain when they...
Now, see, the problem with every single one of these creators and what they are pushing is the fact that they are telling their followers to do not vote, that they're not going to vote because they don't want to vote for Biden and da-da-da. And I get that. I get it. But what you are pushing is even more dangerous. Go look up, hit that search bar and type in Project 2025. Go educate yourself before you get on this damn app and start preaching about how you're not going to vote in this upcoming election, because you not voting is even worse. You understand? You are pushing a rhetoric that is dangerous. That is dangerous. Because if you decide to withhold your right to vote, and even if you just don't agree with Biden, go look up Project 2025, because I guarantee you, as a woman, as a black woman, as a minority, as someone who is in an interracial relationship, as someone who is a small business owner, as someone in the middle class, lower class, anybody, if you do not understand what Project 2025 is, and the way a lot of these Republicans are pushing their agenda, and they have laid it out for you as plain as day in black and white of what they are planning on doing. If they are able to win over our government, have a Republican president, have a Republican dominant Congress and House, like, you need to go educate yourself. Stop getting on this app, running your mouth, because you feel some type of way right now with everything that's going on with this Israel and Palestine. And I get it. I get it. I feel it too. But stop telling your followers and all of these young people to not go vote. Because if you don't get your ass up and go to these polls next year, guess who will? Every right-wing nut that supports the Trump, that ideology, that supports Project 2025, because they know you're not going to go do it. So we have to stop. And as an influencer with a following as big as all of these followers, these influencers have, baby, you got to be careful what you say on this app. You got to be careful what you are pushing out there, because that rhetoric of, I'm not voting for Biden, I'm not voting for either. What? Then you're just going to allow them to win by default. And when they start implementing all that Project 2025, do not come on this app boo-hooing, crying, talking about this, talking about that, when you start to see your basic human rights get stripped away. And the fact that it's a lot of minorities on this app talking about telling people and telling their followers not to vote, baby, I want to slap all of you. Pay attention. Pay attention. And do your research before you go popping off at the mouth, telling people not to get up and exercise their right to vote. You may not agree with Biden. You may not agree with the Democrats and this and stuff that's going on right now with Palestine. I get it. But do not get on here and tell people not to vote. That is the absolute worst thing you can do. Get it together. Do your research. Click that search bar and go look up Project 2025. And then come back and let's have a conversation about the lesser of two evils.
Joining us now is Christina Sinsoon Ramirez. She's the president of NextGen America, joining me from Austin, Texas. All right, Christina, glad to have you here. Look, y'all are a nonpartisan organization, so it's not like you're representing one party or the other, but when we look at the numbers don't lie. A number of young voters support Democratic candidates. When you look at issues like the environment, when we talk about reproductive rights, we could go on and on and on. And we have seen in the last 2 or 3 election cycles an increase. But what I keep saying repeatedly is that, man, if young voters truly lock in, they don't have the wherewithal baby boomers can do. They can decide the fate of the country today, not 10 years from now.
That's right. You've just said it. Young people now make up the largest generational voting bloc in the country. They also happen to be the most diverse generational voting bloc in American history and the most progressive. Young people care mostly about issues. They are driven on issues of racial justice, on climate change, on abortion rights, gay marriage, gun safety, reforming and legalizing marijuana. Those are all progressive issues. And what we saw happen in 2022 was that people said young people aren't going to turn out. It's a midterm. They're upset. And there was a huge youth voter turnout, and young people voted so overwhelmingly for Democrats that it canceled out the Republican boomer vote. Even though more boomers voted for their share, because young people voted so overwhelmingly for Democrats, even though they made up a lesser share of the electorate, they canceled out that Republican vote. So young people, you know, that young woman that we just saw on TikTok saying, don't tell people not to vote, she's absolutely right. Voting isn't the only way you change the world, but it is the most basic thing you must do, not the only thing you should do. And Republicans are counting on young people not to turn out, not to exercise their power. And I just want to say to young people, look, the highest youth voter turnout in American history was in 2020. It got us the first African-American woman Supreme Court justice. It got us the largest single investment by any country on the planet to tackle the climate crisis. It got us substantial student debt reform, historic gun safety legislation. And if you like those things and you want more to be done, then you need to keep voting, because voting is how you organize and you get good people elected. You don't go home and hope they do the right thing. You keep voting and organizing and push them to deliver on their promises.
Yet we see right now, and look, I understand what's happening. A lot of people are not happy with President Biden, what's going on in Israel and in Gaza. A lot of people are really upset. But what's also happening here, you're seeing people who are saying, hey, that's it, I'm not going to be voting at all in this election. And as I'm watching this and I'm going, you do know that Trump and the Republicans, if they are in power, their position is even going to be worse than where Biden is right now. And so as a leader, how are you, because I'm just a firm believer, and I'm going to play a clip in a minute of what happens where we have to walk people through, because, and again, this is not a dig at young voters, but the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people who just don't understand politics, who just don't understand what happens in terms of how the process works. And we have to actually connect the dots to frankly teach folks who really don't get civics.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened in 2016 when young people didn't turn out and a whole host of people sat out in the election. We got Donald Trump as the nominee. We got immigrant children being ripped from their families at the border. We were pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. We had a president that supported Charlottesville and said there were nice people on both sides. It was total chaos. And who was on the front lines of that destruction mostly, and the consequences of that, were low-income communities of color. And we cannot have that again. I always say, look, I never agree with any single one politician or party, and I don't agree with any single person. I love my mama, for example, but I don't agree with her on every single issue, and that's okay. It's okay not to agree on every single issue, but we have pushed and moved the Democratic Party over time to take stronger, better positions on raising the minimum wage, on protecting unions, on policing, on climate change, and so on marriage equality, on abortion rights. And so I see this as an organizing moment for young people that are rightfully outraged to see the bombings happening in Gaza, to see the violence between Israel and Palestine, to use this moment as an organizing moment, not to sit out and not vote, because that doesn't actually increase your power, that decreases your power, but go do what other people are doing. Jewish Voice for Peace and others sitting in congressional offices demanding a ceasefire, asking them to switch and move their positions. the party is not perfect. The people that push and move the party to be a better and more perfect institution are who make it stronger and better. And so if people are angry in this moment, rightfully so, then use this moment to organize in a new way.
One of the things that, for me, that really jumps out here, and I've said this, and I was talking about this when I was discussing Louisiana. What often happens is people go, but the party should be doing this and this and this. And what I keep saying to people is, when your interests are at play, you can't be waiting on a party to do something. And so when your organization's out there, are y'all talking about, no, this is self-campaigning. This is self-organizing. This is not waiting on somebody to excite me. And that's the other thing that I really try to tell people all the time. First of all, excitable candidates are, frankly, that's generational, all right? You talk about an Obama in 2008, frankly, for Republicans, it was Reagan in 1980. Before that, it was Kennedy in 1960. So it's not like every election cycle we have this, oh my God, this candidate that I swoon over. I always say, y'all, guess what, folks? Somebody's going to win. So we can either be looking for that excitable, perfect, good-looking, charming, charismatic candidate, or to understand they're going to have power. And so how are you articulating that to folks to understand you can't be waiting on this great figure to come along and swoop you off of your feet and just make you excited to understand, no, somebody's going to win. You better figure out who I'm going to support and which one's going to be aligned with my issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, look, I've been an organizer for 20 years, and what I've understood is that very few people are always going to be aligned with me, but it's my job as an organizer to push them and assess who is most aligned with me and that I can move in the right direction along with people that care about the world and see it in the way I do. And so it's very clear when you look at the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, right? And I'm not saying, again, I don't put my single hope in any one single politician or party. I put my hope in the American people and working in class and ordinary people and young people. Because every time our country has made a great leap forward, it's taken the courage, imagination, and impatience, often of young people, to push our legislators to deliver. And so this moment isn't any different. So I think assess the field. Which candidate is more aligned with me? When we talk about climate change, you have one party that's saying climate change is a hoax, the other one that actually just made the largest single investment to tackle the climate crisis of any country on the planet. When you talk about criminal justice reform, you have one party that wants to increase funding for prisons and policing, and you have another party that is listening and working with communities to look at how we invest more into communities and education. When you look at the student debt crisis, there's one party that doesn't want to cancel student debt at all, and one that has tried, and the Republican Supreme Court blocked from happening. When you talk about abortion rights, there's only one party that believes a woman should decide when she is ready to make a family, and another one that wants to decide for us. So you can go line by line on almost every single issue. And if there are issues where there is not night and day between the party, then that's a moment and a calling for me where we need to organize and push candidates to do better, not sit out an election.
Hold tight 1 second. When we come back, I want my panelists to ask you some questions. Folks, the reason I'm giving so much attention to this, folks, look, we've got elections coming up in Virginia. All of the House and Senate races. That's going to decide who controls the legislature in Virginia. You've got gubernatorial race in Kentucky, gubernatorial race in Mississippi. But you've got elections happening all around the country. I got a text message just the other day of an election in a suburb of Dallas where I'm still registered, a proposition on the ballot when it comes to funding the schools. And so a lot of you right now, there are elections that are happening all around you, and folks are like, I had no idea. This is where you should be checking right now, because you can't keep saying, I want things to change, but then you're unaware of change that's literally happening all around you. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Coles.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
Yo, it's your man Deion Cole from Blackish, and you watch
Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, we're talking with Christina Ramirez. She's the president of NextGen America. Joining from Austin. Let's go to my panel here. Joy, you're first. What's your question?
So, Christina, thank you so much for everything you've been talking about today. I want to know where people go to learn more information about what elections are coming up. Do you have any resources that people need? Because I think young people are maybe not always knowing where to go to get the information about what's coming up. How do they get educated about what's coming up?
Yes. So for anybody that's interested, you can actually go to nextgenamerica.org. You can share your information with us, and we will share voter guides and information with you about when, where, and how to vote, and also ballot guides that talk about what the differences are between the candidates. Because a lot of the times young people will say, I don't vote because I don't know who to vote for. I don't know what the difference is between the candidates. And so we do that research and work for young people. So again, that's nextgenamerica.org. And you can, again, plug in your information. You don't have to go to the website every time. Just share your cell phone with us, and we'll text you and let you know when there's an election in your area.
Love that.
Larry.
Follow up. Got one more.
Okay, go ahead real quick.
All right, real quick. So, I mean, what are we doing to proactively fight against these misinformation campaigns, right? So we have folks out there. That was a fantastic video, an answer back from one creator to another. But what are you doing to make sure people are engaged?
Yeah, so for young people, we have never spent any advertising dollars on TV, which is what a lot of campaigns do. They dump money on TV, which most young people do not watch. We have never, again, spent $1 on TV. We reach people online and through social media, and we have run the last few election cycles and spearheaded the largest influencer campaigns, working with like that young woman there that answered back to those other young content creators to use their platforms to reach, mobilize, and educate other young people. We find that it's more cost-effective for engaging and moving young people, and that young people themselves are looking for other young people to be trusted messengers. And the last thing I would say is for anybody that's watching is you are an influencer regardless of your following, right? People are mostly moved to vote by the people that are closest to them. So use your own social media platform, if you have one, to share about when you're voting and why, what matters to you, because that, again, your closest circle is who you have the greatest impact with.
Love it. Less dance offs, more voter guides. Love that.
All right, then. Larry.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you for all your work. I wonder if you could talk about quickly in terms of the work you're doing. We talk about getting young people to register to vote as being important. That's the first point I want to make. And secondly, can you talk about the work you're doing with college universities throughout the United States?
Yeah, so NextGen America runs the country's largest youth voter turnout operations. We are on this upcoming election, close to 110 campuses across 8 states, where we'll have hundreds of people out registering, pledging young people to vote. You know, what happens on a college campus, people move in, they've changed their address, and they don't know that they have to change their address oftentimes, or they're first-time voters, and they don't know the process. So it's so critical that our volunteers and staff are there to welcome them back on those campuses, make sure they change their registration status, pledge to vote, and then we turn them out on election day. And look, these are young people are turning out in such great numbers, right? And it's still, you know, we're talking about last election cycle, the midterm 27%, which was still a high watermark for young people in the midterm. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible with young people. And that's why you have Republican presidential candidates so freaked out about how many young people are voting that they're saying, let's raise the age to 25 for people to vote in this country, or let's not allow polling locations on college campuses anymore. That's how powerful young people are. And so I think people should be walking away with, wow, we are having tremendous power and influence, and we're just starting out with the impact that we can have given our numbers.
Mustafa.
Yeah. Well, Christina, it's good to see you. We know that we've got, 4 million folks who turn 18 every year. I'm curious, what's the future look like for NextGen?
I mean, we've been around. We're actually celebrating tomorrow. I'm flying to D.C. because we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. And 10 years ago when we were started, it was under the premise that if we could mobilize the largest, most diverse and progressive voting bloc in American history, we could tackle the biggest problem that our planet faces with it, climate change. And 10 years ago, people said it was a waste of time and money, that young people would never turn out. And now we've had 3 high historic youth voter turnout in the country. And so I think that young people right now get to determine the future. We have a Republican Party that seems to want to cling to the past. And I think we have a powerful message that we can send. If you want to cling to the past, you can have it. But the future, that gets to belong to America's young people. And we have a very different vision for our country than the one that they are offering. And we are determined to make it happen. And that where we are winning on climate change, where we are winning on student debt, the issues we are winning on, or taxing the rich their fair share, that is just the beginning of the reforms that young people want. And so in 10 years, I think we're going to look back and say, the things that were won, that pushed our country forward, were done because of one people, and that fascism was staved off, hopefully, because of the power of young people.
All right, then. And again, so as I said, there are elections everywhere else. So on your website, are you tracking nationwide elections? So if somebody says, hey, is there one happening in my area? Can they go to your site and check?
They can go to our site and sign up, and we'll also have links to other places in other states where we may not be doing work, where they can get information for their local and state municipality. All
right, Christina, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, folks, we'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. Got to talk about what happened today in Georgia. Ooh, the tears of Jenna Ellis. Kissing all that Trump behind that got your behind in trouble. We'll share that with you, folks. Don't forget, support us in what we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered, PayPal or Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. You can watch us, of course, now on Amazon News. You can tell Alexa to play news from the Black Star Network. Plex TV. Check us our 24-hour channel out on Amazon Freevee, as well as Amazon Prime Video. And be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. Also, get the Audible audio version on Audible. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
hatred on the streets. A horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Frank.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, Cassidy Craddock has been missing from Kansas City, Missouri since October 3rd. The 16-year-old is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 120 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a black jacket, white T-shirt, and black leggings. Anyone with information about Cassidy Craddock is urged to call the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department at 816-234-5111, 816-234-5111. A federal judge sentenced a white man convicted of attempting to run down 6 black men at the site of the Rosewood massacre last year. He's going to get a year in jail. 62-year-old David Emanuel was found guilty of willfully intimidating the victims, attempting to injure and intimidate them through a vehicle. On September 6, 2022, Emanuel tried to run over historian Marvin Dunn, his son, and 4 other black men surveying Dunn's Rosewood property to build a memorial for the massacre. We actually had Dunn on the show. Emanuel will serve 12 months plus 1 day in federal prison for each of the 6 charges, allowing the sentences to run concurrently. The Justice Department sought a substantial prison term of 4 to 6 years. A New Jersey man whose racist rant went viral in 2021 has pleaded guilty to harassing and using racial slurs against his neighbors. According to court documents released by the Burlington County Prosecutor's Office, Edward Matthews pled guilty to 4 counts of bias, intimidation, and possessing a controlled dangerous substance with intent to distribute. In 2021, a resident filed a harassment complaint against him for a shooting, throwing rocks, and smearing feces on cars in his neighborhood. When officers arrived, they found Matthews using racial slurs while engaging in a verbal altercation with 4 residents. His plea agreement means he'll receive an 8-year sentence for all offenses. His formal sentencing is scheduled for December 8th. Well, guess what, folks? I've told you numerous times about Moms for Liberty, and I've also told you what happens when folks do not show up to vote. Well, what happened? Moms for Liberty ran a number of people for school board races all across the country, and they won in many of those places. This far-right anti-government extremist organization is doing damage. And one of the things that they're doing by taking over school boards, they're firing superintendents, they're getting rid of teachers, and they're imposing their ideology, including ridding places of black history. Well, now there's an organization that is trying to fight them. Liz McIntyre, the founder of Stop Moms for Liberty, joins us now from Titusville, Florida. All right, Liz, so founder of Stop Moms for Liberty, why'd you decide to do this?
Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to be on your platform. I've been following your work for years, so thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
I've been an educator for over 25 years, so recently retired, so to speak. And Moms for Liberty started in the chapter or the county where I live in the state of Florida. And I know one of the founders personally. So I kind of, as the kids say, I have some receipts. So I know that this is not the grassroots movement that they say that they are. And so as an educator, I was trying to, at the very beginning of Moms for Liberty, get on, social media and phone calling, whatever, to try and get people to be a little bit more rational and realize that what they were being told was not what was happening in our public school system and that they were being misled. And instead of getting some response to, oh, here's a teacher, maybe she knows some information, they started calling me names. So I was called a groomer one too many times. I was told that I supported pedophilia one too many times. And I just started thinking there have got to be other people that are being attacked like I am. And there have got to be people on, our side of the issues. And it's time for us to get together if there are. Well, sure enough, there were plenty of people in the state of Florida. So we first had a Brevard County chapter, and then we grew out into all the counties in Florida. And then South Carolina reached out and said, hey, we're having an issue here. Have you thought about taking this to, a next level and branch out into states? And so that's what we did. And once South Carolina was under the umbrella, it was kind of like a flame had been lit or something. And we have currently now groups that are in just about 46 of the states. And under those groups, we also have the local groups that are forming that are specific to school districts. And your lead-in was absolutely right. Their plan was to take over school boards, which they have done. And I will say there is a little ray of hope because the success you were noting was last fall election. We then fast forwarded to this past spring, and they were not as successful because more people around the country are realizing that what they're selling is not what they want to buy. And so there was much less success in the spring, and we're anticipating much less success in the fall. But you're right, a whole lot of damage has been done. In my own county, my superintendent was kind of booted out on the first meeting that these newly seated board members did. And they're doing this. They fired the first African-American superintendent in, I think it was the whole state of South Carolina. And these are the things that are in their playbook. And it has nothing to do with improving education. It has to do with taking over.
But what they've also done is they've taken advantage of voter apathy. A lot of people ignore school board races. They don't actually even vote. And so that's how they were able. And what they did was they also studied when the terms were up in some of these places. And so they did all the research. And here's the whole thing. Steve Bannon said all of this. Mm-hmm. So this wasn't like, oh my God, caught by surprise. They said, we're going to run people for all of these positions, and we're going to take over school boards, election boards, all of these places.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely correct. This is not a moms have some concerns about their kids in school movement. This is a highly structured, highly funded, really national push to privatize our public school education system in the country. And it's very transparent once you start digging into the subject. I was drawn to coming onto your show after I saw you interview Keisha King, who presents herself as just a mom, but she's actually employed by Moms for Liberty and works at the national level. So, she unfortunately, I think got eaten up a little bit on your show, which was rightfully so because she didn't have the answers. And that's what we're finding is the common piece of this is that they don't have facts. They have rhetoric. They have, scare tactics that frankly are brilliant, right? They, talk about parents' rights. Well, who's not in favor of parents' rights? They talk about, we don't want pornography in schools. Well, who exactly is in favor of pornography in schools? No one. And so they've taken, some basic concerns that parents have that they already have rights and they already have a system of doing things about. And they've convinced a lot of people across the country that school systems are shutting them out. And that's far from the truth. Schools have always had an open door policy, multiple opportunities for parents to be involved. If parents didn't know about that, then find out about it now instead of going on this attacking mode. Our whole movement started with little old retired kindergarten teacher me, who was just afraid that my whole profession was being undermined, and I was determined to get people together. So we are strictly a communication tool across the country, and our whole thing is to fill in that lack that I saw, that there were great things happening, but people weren't talking to each other. For example, there might be a great rally that's planned in Florida by the NAACP, but the folks in Georgia have no idea that it's going on when they could have maybe attended, and vice versa for different locations. So, we're looking at strong support for the LGBTQ plus community and connecting those activities on the ground. And there's a lot of intersectionality with what they're attacking, because fundamentally it's just about rights, period. And their position is that they are the only group that should have any rights. And so even if someone's not supportive of the Black community or supportive of the gay, straight, and lesbian community, then you need to understand this is a fundamental attack on democracy. And it's absolutely correct. They started it in school boards because that's the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest to pick for the reasons that you stated. And it just needs to stop, because we have to have a public education system. Does it need to improve, Roland? Absolutely. And I will be on the front lines fighting for improvements. But this is an all-out attack, and it needs to stop.
All right. Well, Liz, if people want more information, where do they go?
We have a website, www.stopmomsforliberty.com. It's there on the graphic. We're very active on Facebook. We have lots of private groups that you can join. We are now establishing a presence on TikTok. We have some on Twitter, Instagram, so there's lots of different things. Lots of ways to reach out to us. We have stopmomsforliberty@gmail.com as an email to reach out to us. And we welcome questions and we welcome new members in pushing back on this. You mentioned fascism, I believe, earlier in your show.
Yep.
Well, what's the easiest place to have fascism come into play? We've seen it already in history, right? In Germany, it was in the classrooms. So this is where we need to push back, because this is not America. We are one nation for liberty and all, and it's too bad that a small component of the population doesn't really believe that or support that, but the majority of us do. And we are willing to stand up and fight for that.
All right. Liz, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Roland. Have a great
Thank you. Joy, here's the thing that I think is critically important here. They are taking advantage of complacency. That's what's going on here. And people, when they keep saying, man, why you always keep talking about voting? You can't complain after the fact when they showed up, but we didn't.
Correct. You can't complain after the fact. We need to be affirmative. What I loved about your last guest is that she is doing something about it. She's saying, I want to stop these people. There are parents all over who are wondering who's going to speak out against it, who's going to... You have to do it. You have to do it. You cannot wait for anyone else. If you're a young voter and you don't like who's running, you don't like your options, run for office. That's what Maxwell Frost did. He won. He won. That's what Lauren Underwood, who's just over my shoulder, did. She won. You want to be out there, and we talk about Jenna Ellis. I know we're going to get to her. She's running around talking about how she didn't know and she was a young voter. We have young people who are doing great things all over this country. That's how you make a difference. You don't like it. You don't say, I'm not going to vote for you because you didn't agree with one thing that I, disagreed with. No, You go out and you let them know, I voted for you. I am your constituent. You need to know this is my perspective. You're voting against my interests. I need you to do better. That's how you make a difference. You don't just say, I'm just gonna cede my rights as a citizen. That's not how you do it. And, I don't want to be, you don't want to be rude in saying that to people or, suggesting that I know more than someone else. But I know what? The Republicans know your power. The conservatives know your power. The people who are against your interest, and no matter what party they are in, they know your power. Well, that's why they fight like hell to make sure you can't vote.
Mustafa, I'm sorry. Mustafa, I'm sorry. I'm going to be rude about it. No, This is no time, Mustafa, for people's feelings, because the bottom line is this here. I'm sick and tired of hearing people complain in our chat rooms, on social media, after the fact. Then I'm like, what did you do when everything was on the line? Where were you?
Yeah, exactly. You just got to stand up. We say we love our children. Okay, if we love our children, that means we got to get engaged. If you see that there are people who are literally attacking your children's ability to learn and the content that's there, and trying to get rid of teachers who actually care about their students, then you got to do something. You wouldn't let somebody just come in your house and punch one of your kids or punch, somebody else in the chest. That's what folks continue to do. They continue to punch people in the chest because they know they won't stand up and they won't fight back. And you just have to fight back. It's unfortunate that we can't have an intelligent, theoretical conversation about certain things. That's not the game. That's not the strategy that these folks are utilizing and playing with. They literally want to strip all of your rights away because they believe that they have the privilege to do that. You have the choice if you're going to allow them to play that out or not.
And Larry, again, right now, there are people who are saying all kinds of different stuff and not understanding. When people talk about Trump's base, these are people who are highly motivated, who are highly organized because rich conservative billionaires are funding this movement. What people have to understand, they can be defeated because if they don't win at the ballot box, they don't win. That's how you beat them. But you have to show up to beat them.
Yeah, so you have look, a voteless people, voteless people is a hopeless people, right, Roland? So listen, you have to show up at the ballot box, and let's make it really clear about what this is about. This is about maintaining a race-based caste system that we've had for years, and then the perceived progress of Black folks by a lot of white Americans over the last several years. So I'm in Florida at Ground Zero. A lot of these book bans, and you're the person you just had on is in Florida. So we have to consistently fight against this nonsense. And a lot of folks have been asleep at the wheel. You talked about Bannon and the strategy he highlighted on his radio show. He walked you through exactly where they're going to do it at the local level. And that's played out. And now it's time for the opposition to push back. We have to make sure we identify the candidates, especially school boards, state reps, state senator, et cetera. Identify the candidates, make sure we have a platform, make sure we have the resources, the money, and then get out to vote. We got to galvanize young people to get out to vote. But we have to counter a lot of this. And we can't wait till next year. You talked about there are a lot of local elections in Virginia, state elections in Virginia, and other jurisdictions coming up over the next couple of weeks. And we have to make sure we continue to fight. And once again, if you don't do that, then you can't complain about all these policies that are impacting your daily life, whether we talk about a woman's rights to choose or whether about the kind of books that you have in your classroom, child's classroom.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. Jenna Ellis, the latest Fonnie Willis victim in Georgia. Oh, those white tears were flowing today in Atlanta. We'll show you and break it down. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Joke or two. Although I might be laughing loud and hearty, well, deep inside I'm blue. So take a good look at my face. See the smile looks on tracks on my teeth. Oh, don't you know I need you?
All right, Smokey Robinson, the tracks of my tears. Oh, there were a lot of tears that were flowing today in a Fulton County courtroom when right-wing MAGA Trump attorney Jenna Ellis, who, remember, she was talking all kind of trash after she got indicted. She was out there, news conferences, and all this sort of stuff, defending that fool, Donald Trump. Well, guess what? Her ass today pled guilty to illegally conspiring to overturn Trump's 2020 election loss in Georgia. Oh, yeah, she's been facing 2 charges, including violating Georgia's Anti-Racketeering Act, pled guilty in court Tuesday morning to 1 felony count of aiding and abetting false statements and writings. Here's the tears.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the opportunity to address the court. As an attorney who is also a Christian, I take my responsibilities as a lawyer very seriously, and I endeavor to be a person of sound moral and ethical character in all of my dealings. In the wake of the 2020 presidential election, I believed that challenging the results on behalf of President Trump should be pursued in a just and legal way. I endeavored to represent my client to the best of my ability. I relied on others, including lawyers with many more years of experience than I, to provide me with true and reliable information, especially since my role involved speaking to the media and to legislators in various states. What I did not do, but should have done, Your Honor, was to make sure that the facts the other lawyers alleged to be true were in fact true. In the frenetic pace of attempting to raise challenges to the election in several states, including Georgia, I failed to do my due diligence. I believe in and I value election integrity. If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges. I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse. For those failures of mine, Your Honor, I have taken responsibility already before the Colorado Bar who censured me, and I now take responsibility before this court and apologize to the people of Georgia. Thank you.
Oh, as a Christian, oh. Was your ass a Christian right here?
Elite strike force team that is working on behalf of the president and the campaign to make sure that our Constitution is protected. We are a nation of rules. All of your fake news headlines are dancing around the merits of this case and are trying to delegitimize what we are doing here. Let me be very clear that our objective is to make sure to preserve and protect election integrity.
What is the point of all this?
Well, the point of this, of course, is to get to fair and accurate results because the election was stolen and President Trump won by a landslide. We know already that the election results in at least 5 of the swing states were irredeemably compromised. So we already have sufficient evidence for these states to decertify their electoral results. Your question is fundamentally flawed when you're asking where is the evidence. You clearly don't understand the legal process. What we have asked for in the court is to not have the certification of false results.
What I did not do, but should have done, Your Honor, was to make sure that the facts the other lawyers alleged to be true were in fact true. In the frenetic pace of attempting to raise challenges to the election in several states, including Georgia.
Miss LaChristin, were you a Christian when you tweeted this? Y'all go ahead and put it up. Here's one of her little tweets right here. All right, what got another tweet? Another tweet? Another tweet? The full Democrats and the Fulton County DA are criminalizing the practice of law. I'm resolved to trust the Lord, and I will simply continue to honor, praise, and serve him. I deeply appreciate all of my friends who have reached out offering encouragement and support. Look at this here. Over $200,000 raised for my defense. Yeah, all that praise the Lord while you were standing here serving the devil. Attorney Sherry Trahan is a former Fulton County prosecutor who now who's a defense lawyer there in Atlanta. Glad to have you here, Sherry. So here's what was amazing. All of these legal people, they were all on television everywhere saying, Fonnie Willis, what is wrong with her? She's not prepared. She can't go to trial. October is way too soon. These things are going to take 6 and 9 months or even a year. 4 guilty pleas already. What do you make of that?
Fonnie Willis is never not prepared. So that statement, I would never take that as being true. DA Willis is always prepared. She stays ready. She does not have to get ready because she stays ready. So.
But on that particular point there, again, people don't understand how these things work. They spend a lot of time preparing and leading up to these indictments. And so folks were very surprised when Chesborough and Powell, how they immediately said they want a speedy trial. And they went, okay, let's go. And now we see the result of that. Both of them, lawyers, pled guilty. And so it says a lot that out of the three of the first four guilty pleas, three of them are lawyers. And in this case, she has to testify against other defendants, including Donald Trump.
Yes.
What do you make of so explain to people from a prosecutor standpoint why that's so significant?
That's significant because she has so much information that will aid. She is an integral piece of the puzzle in this whole thing. So her plea in particular was very significant based on her role in all of this, how closely she was with all of the players. So when you have a situation like this where she takes a plea, now people are going to start to take this more seriously, because now we know from everything that she said, you rolled some of the clips, the history of it and everything she said to continue to, how do I say, to continue to perpetuate that the integrity of the election was her number one priority when she knew that what she was saying was false.
Oh, and then what gets me is, if I knew what I knew now, I would have checked. How the hell do you sit up there and participate in the hearings before the state legislature, go before the cameras, and if you're making filings and you didn't double check and verify, like, oh, I'm sorry, whatever Rudy told me, I believe. That's an abomination as an attorney.
Yes, I believe that that was a pretty interesting statement in the apology to the state of Georgia, for her to characterize it as a lack of due diligence. As an attorney, as a former prosecutor, nonetheless, one of our biggest jobs is to seek justice and to seek the truth. So for her to say that she didn't properly vet that information, that's pretty surprising for somebody on her level. I mean, she's representing arguably the most powerful person in the United States. So yeah, that was very interesting of a characterization.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I'm just sort of sitting here, just sort of laughing at it, and I'm not moved at all by these tears. I mean, because she was talking big and bad, on social media, everywhere else, and now you want to see him play games. I have no mercy on any of these people. Some people have been saying this here, they believe that the folks who pled guilty, they're getting off too lightly. Again, speaking as somebody who served as a prosecutor, is this all about finding Willis, again, getting them to plead guilty, to testify, knowing the big fish she's going after is Giuliani and Trump?
I can't say for sure what exactly DA Willis, her ultimate plan is, but I just can't say that for sure. But this sends a message that this kind of behavior will not be tolerated in the state of Georgia. So I don't feel like they got off lightly. I think that's very subjective. But this is a person who was an officer or is still an officer of the law. She has no prior criminal history. So probation, to me, would be something that is proper in this kind of case.
So the Colorado bar censured her, but she's now pled guilty. Granted, you're not with the Colorado bar. Yes. Could she lose a law license now?
I don't know. I can't say that for sure.
Well, I hope she does.
Okay.
Look. That's because here's the whole deal. I mean, that is the one thing. Look, lawyers are expected to have a higher level of responsibility.
That's correct.
And in the case of Sidney Powell, they're going after her law degree. You got Chesborough, you got her. I just think Giuliani, they're going after his law license as well. I just think that this was so grave, so severe, that they absolutely should lose the ability to practice law because of the egregious lies they told, and now they're having to plead guilty. Your thoughts?
I wouldn't say that I believe that she should lose her license. I really don't know what Colorado is going to do. There are attorneys that have criminal convictions or criminal histories that are still allowed to practice law. I do believe that this was an egregious case. I do think this is a very important case. And overall, I am pleased that DA Fani Willis has not let up, and she's continuing the fight.
All right. I'll turn to Sherry Trahan. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Roland. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a bunch. Look, Joy, I'm sorry. Homegirl got to go. I'm not believing the tears for 1 second. What Donald Trump has done to this political system, what Giuliani, Powell, Jenna Ellis, all these people, or with the seeds of discontent they have sown, these people are shameful, despicable, and they should lose everything.
Everything. If you missed it, these were Jenna Ellis's tears. I was drinking them this evening. Not only should she lose, her law license or at least have it suspended for some time, obviously she doesn't understand her responsibilities as an attorney. I mean, and the fact of the matter is we keep, teasing like she's some young idiot. She's a 38-year-old woman who graduated law school in 2011. So I don't know what lawyers with more experience she was relying on. For me, that really stuck in my car. I just cannot believe. And it's almost playing on this, white girl, she's young. BS. This was someone who knowingly lied repeatedly and through social media, just based on what you just showed, up through September, vowing that she was going to go down with this ship. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, Jenna.
Oh, absolutely. Larry, I ain't feeling none of it. I don't care. I have no compassion for none of these people. Larry?
None whatsoever. Listen, Joy talked about it. She went to the playbook. She knows the playbook always works in America when she starts shedding tears and, she's reading a statement. She's sorry. And, she talked about being a Christian. But, last time I checked, when the 10 Commandments, there's certain commandments about being honest, right? So she didn't lead it with integrity as an attorney or as a U.S. citizen. She knew exactly what she was doing when she got on, like you highlighted, social media. She was constantly on the news telling people they didn't know what you were talking about, that clip you played. So now she messed around and found out. And as Roland, as you talk about all the time, these folks who try to stay loyal to Donald Trump, he doesn't care. He's a narcissist. So you're on your own, and these people are finding out. Some of them are going to lose their law licenses, and they won't be able to practice. And it's exactly what they deserve. When you turn your back on democracy, this is exactly what happens. And I look forward to more of these tearful, fake statements, people read over the next couple of months.
And here's the deal, Mustafa. Look, that's 4 plea deals. The other folks who are sitting around chilling, y'all stupid. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm like, here are all the people who got indicted. For the rest of these folks, especially them 2 black people, don't be the last Negro standing.
I'm trying not to laugh. It's interesting. DA Fani Willis got these folks in a chokehold because she's been playing 3-dimensional chess, and these folks keep playing checkers, thinking they're going to be able to outmove her. And she knows what they're going to do. If they're going to go left or right, she's already there, and she has them, in check, if you will. you're right. These folks need to go ahead and take their plea deals, because what you're finding is that the reason folks are doing this because, one, they don't want to get these felonies on their record. Then they would lose their law license. So that's the game that's going on for those folks who actually are coming from the legal side of the equation. The reality is that you know, the writing is on the wall for Donald Trump. It is just a matter of time, because you have a number of people who were closely aligned with him who have now lined up, and they are going to have to tell the truth, because if they don't tell the truth, there will be repercussions based upon the deals that they currently have. So everybody stay tuned, get your popcorn and your lemonade, because it's going to get real interesting as you watch all these dominoes fall.
Snatch every damn thing. Everything. I want Rudy to lose all his money. Lose his money, lose his law license. I'm hoping Trump get convicted in New York. The trial going on there. I hope he get convicted with the sister with the judge going to hit him in March. Hope he's behind, gets convicted there in Georgia. I'm looking for convictions left and right, because what these people did to this country was shameful and despicable, and they all need to pay, and pay severely. Y'all want to be law and order? Well, guess what? That law and order about to bite you in your ass, and I'm here for all of it. And so that's right. So Jenna and the rest of y'all, I'm looking for more tears. Because, see, I played Smokey Robinson the tracks of my tears. You're lucky I didn't play Scarface's No Tears. I'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys. This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hey, what's up? Geek Tony in the place to be. Got Cake Touch Your Mama's University, creator and executive producer of Fat Tuesdays, an air hip-hop comedy. But right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
How far to go in?
All right, folks, golf is becoming an increasingly popular sport for African Americans. Many people credit Tiger Woods for that. He's emerged on the PGA Tour. But the reality is African Americans have been playing golf for a long, long time. In fact, the creator of the actual golf tee is an African American. And so I always got a kick when I travel. People like, hey, did you start playing because of Tiger? No, I didn't. I started playing golf my freshman year at Texas A&M. Took golf all 4 years of my PE while I was there. My brother took golf the year before when he was at Texas A&M. And so this is the 36th year that I have been playing golf. And so it's increasingly popular for so many folks. And a black-owned company out of Atlanta, they have been very much trying to advance this issue among African Americans. Eastside Golf aims to promote golf among young people by advancing the sport's multiculturalism and equality. Since 2021, Eastside Golf and the Jordan brand have produced limited edition versions of various Air Jordan golf shoes. Here to talk about them is Lajuan Ajanaku, the founder, as well as Earl Cooper, co-founder of Eastside Golf. Gents, what's happening?
What's going on?
What's going on?
How are you?
All good, all
Roland.
good. All good. Good to see you. Seeing y'all at various golf tournaments all around. So how did this conversation begin? Because obviously when you start talking about golf, I mean, look, you've got a lot of major golf companies out there, but you really didn't have a group that said, you know what, we want to specifically really hit the cultural aspect, reach African Americans, and do it in the way we do it, which is a different sort of style. Because golf is very staid, very uptight, ain't much flavor. It used to be pretty much old white dudes at the country club. That's not how it is now for us.
Yeah. Well, first off, definitely thank you for having us. And I started off the company because I wanted to turn pro in golf and couldn't find any sponsors. So why not take the entrepreneur route to sponsor myself? And that is where Eastside Golf was birthed. So, but even moving into, golf looking different. I mean, when it comes to culture, people, just diverse people, mainly black people, but all diverse people, we're not going to get into something that doesn't look good. You know what I'm saying? And over the years, since we've been, honestly, little kids, it's been always a struggle to get our families to play golf, get our friends to play golf. But only time that we're going to get into a sport is if it looks good. So why not basically, change up the way the golf apparel looks? I mean, we got varsity jackets, we got hoodies, we got polos, of course, the things that belong on the course as well, but that can be worn off the course. But that's the way that we reach the community. That's the way that we reach diverse diversity and mainly black folks. I mean, that black folks is not about to wear something that does not look good and just, like you said, a little bit uptight, the culture of golf and it being so traditional. I mean, it's something that, we just, as people, have never been into and even really accept as being our own, because it never looked like anything that we would be into or that we would even fathom that we would enjoy the sport just from the look of it. So.
And look, I mean, so we talk about, again, the game. We talk about how it's expanded. You've got so many women who are playing the golf. In fact, you talked about, looking for a sponsor. This is my girl there, Amber Kirkendall. That was this year at the original T Golf Classic. My man, Wendell Haskins, is putting that on for a number of years. And it was interesting to me, again, how the game has grown. A lot of people just thought that it was going to be an explosion of black men, but a lot more sisters on the professional level. So this is not just brothers. Sisters and brothers are really getting into the game.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. I mean, you could see it there, but you have so many women that are getting into the game as well. That's also why we have our women's line coming in April, because we saw that. I mean, it was something that just was an idea. Then this idea developed into becoming a brand. And then we immediately saw the need very early on, but wanted to be able to find the right time. So we're super excited about, this April launching our women's line and getting our sisters, getting our mothers, our aunts, and, everyone else to, piggyback on what O said. Too often, they've been sitting on the sidelines. We've been sitting on the fringe, and now it's time to bring everybody to the game to, just explore it.
I got a chance to play. Of course, I play at all kinds of tournaments. This is my man, Seth Entertainer's golf course was in Cabo this year. And we talk about black interest in the game. I mean, like I say, you've got, whether it's him or Anthony Anderson, Steve Harvey, Don Cheadle, Jesse T. Usher is now trying to get in the game. I'm always texting him, comedian Gary Johnson. And the thing that people always ask me all the time, they're like, man, I don't understand golf. I said, first of all, let's just be real clear. It's too many brothers walking around 35 who've been out here trying to hoop, blowing out Achilles and blowing out ACLs. And I'm like, listen, if the pros stop playing at 35, your ass need to hang them sneakers up. Stop tripping. And people also make this assumption where they say, oh, I heard business was done on the golf course. And I remind them, no, it's not business that was done. It's actually relationships that you establish, because you're literally spending 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 hours with somebody. And there's no other sport that I can think of that gives you that amount of time to actually meet someone, learn from someone, and build relationships with somebody.
Yeah, no, that's exactly correct. It is about building relationships. We've been able to meet so many great people. That's why our brand has had the ability to flourish because of the relationship building that we've been able to do prior to the brand. And now that the brand exists, we take that time. But you're 100% correct. There is a lot of, again, as they say, business that goes down, but that's because of the foundation of the relationships that are being built. And, you like to do business with people that you like. And there's often, if you try to get on the schedule of, a CEO and say, hey, can I get 4 hours of your time? They may look at you crazy. But if you say, hey, let's go play golf, they find that time. Check out that swing right there.
Look at that swing.
Oh, come on now. I don't play when it comes to golf. I will go out there and spend that time on the driving range because I know some people always talk about, I'd rather look good than play good. I said, damn that. I said we gonna play good and look good. I ain't trying to be out there hacking and all that kind of nonsense. That ain't going on. Before I go to my panel with some questions, I do got to ask you. So, give me the wide shot. So, explain the color scheme, because I'm always rocking my alpha stuff, or it might be some other some other stuff here. So, explain the black and green color scheme.
Yeah. So, being creative director of the company, I had to design something that I thought would bring attention and that had really like a story to it. So. First, coming from Jordan brand, they actually, The Jordan Brand AJ1 band shoe is black, red, and white. And now that band message on there, I mean, that came out in the 80s. You know, that came through Jordan Brand. And one of the things that that was so critical about that band name was Jordan Brand was not allowed to come out with this shoe. Considering the NBA, it was a rule because it had too much white in the shoe. That was the rule. But even moving forward for that being a catalyst for this shoe, I basically took the same shoe and took the red and just turned it green, you know, but it stands for so much more, you know. So that green actually stands for, honestly, the fairway. You know, the green stands for go. The green stands for change. I mean, at the end of the day, the name of the collection is Change Period 1961. Because, of course, in 1961, the Caucasian-only clause was lifted from the PGA and PGA.
And again, what people don't understand is the PGA Tour was the only professional sports league that literally had a rule, whites only. It was called Caucasians only. Now, other folks practiced it, but this was written.
Right. Written and not, you know, and lifted it go not too long ago. You know what I mean? 61 is not that long ago. You know, we have, you know, grandparents and some, depending on the age, even your parents may have been affected by that. And people often wonder why we have a lack of representation. Well, we just were allowed to be a part of these, you know, industry, you know, and so we didn't have the opportunity to look up the folks that look like us in the sport. And so it was very important for us, again, to pay homage of those, as you started the segment, that these are the folks that, you know, crawled so, you know, Tiger Woods could walk, and now, you know, we can run.
Yeah, and also, you know, in honor of those who paved the way, that's a line that I put on the box, as you can see. I mean, talking about Ted Rhodes, Charlie Sifford, Bill Spiller, these are people that came before us and didn't have an equal opportunity to do what we're doing right now. And that's why we're going so hard for them. You know, we want to show where we could have been, you know, just so, I mean, at the end of the day, really challenge the status quo. You know, because if we do challenge the status quo and honestly tell that story that was, then moving forward, we know where we know where we can go, or we know where we need to go, and give that honest opportunity and give those, you know, certain cues to where it's just like, dang, this is where we were. So let's be intentional moving forward, and that's what we tell to our partners like Nike, Mercedes, and even the PGA. So.
All right, questions from the panel. Larry, you're first.
Yeah, so congratulations on all the success. And my question is, what has been the biggest surprise since you started the company?
I think for me, the biggest surprise has been, I think when MJ initially realized, he was the first person to get or acknowledge the fact that what we were doing was very difficult. And so he saw it, right? So I think that was like a big surprise to be like, man, you take someone like Michael Jordan, who's this big figure, and he's like, nah, I know exactly what you guys are trying to do, and I want to help and support it.
Cool. Joy.
Hi, guys. First of all, as soon as you get a women's line, every AKA, every link, we're going to buy all of your products. Okay, so a couple of things. How do we make sure golf is taught in inner city schools, that we're expanding the sport at the high school level?
Yeah, well, honestly, like I said earlier, it starts off with it being attractive. I mean, nobody on this phone call, nor nobody that is in high school, middle school, I mean, really any diverse person is going to wear something that doesn't look good. You know, so first we have to get people that, you know, have style, something to be stylish in, you know, and then once we do that, we cross that threshold of, you know, looking good, then you can get out there on the golf course and actually take advantage of what this game has to offer. You know, as far as being young, when I was in high school, you know, my dad wasn't in my life as much as I would want. But it's crazy. I went out to the golf course, and now I'm around accountants, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs. These are the people that I was learning from, you know, and these are the people that had the biggest influence on me. So getting to a point to where it looks really, really good, to where all of a sudden off the golf course they're talking about, golf at the barbershop, they're talking about golf at the salon, they're talking about golf any and everywhere other than the golf course. Once that happens, then we can get so many more people out there and they can truly take advantage of this game.
Well, one of the things that we're also seeing is that the reality is we're seeing a much more focus. Look, golf has been prohibitively expensive. And so you're seeing individuals who understand that in the golf community is understanding you cannot grow the game if you're only appealing to rich white folks. That's just a fact. And so you're seeing the efforts, but then you're seeing people like Stephen Curry, put the resources to restart the golf team at Howard University. This tour that he just started. Also, what Cameron Champ and his dad Jeff Champ are doing with the MAC Invitational, where they are creating opportunities for these young golfers who don't get recognized, who aren't being ranked on the junior level. By creating the MAC Invitational. I participated in the first one that was in Houston, and they've had it now the last 2 or 3 years. That's what's also important. In fact, Jeff is working on an initiative in Ghana. And so what people have to understand, again, and people make this assumption, I get it all the time, man, you got to hitting the little white ball, that's for white folks. I'm like, fool, black folks have been playing golf since the inception of golf. This ain't new to us. But the reality is we were frozen out of many places because of cost, and now we're seeing how that's decreasing. And they're seeing, to your point, style is one thing, but when you also see folk who look like you playing, it changes your view. Mustafa.
Yeah, well, brothers, all I can say is that the drip is fire. I really appreciate it. So, because remember when Calvin Pete was around, so that's the first introduction I had to golf. And he was considered one of the most stylish, but also one of the most accurate at the game. So my question to you is, with all you've been able to accomplish over the last couple of years, if we have this conversation 5 years ago, what does your company look like? What have you been able to accomplish to actually help move the needle?
Yeah, I think it starts with the ability to support HBCU golf. Specifically, we went to Morehouse College, and so we're proud to say that we have already, given back over $100,000 to our alma mater. We're looking to do more things. Actually, this Saturday at homecoming, we're donating that $50,000, which will total up to $100,000 in the last 30 days. We also have a Sprinter van coming, and so many other things that we're looking to do to support our alma mater. But then we also have a community day program that we've done where we go inside of communities that have PGA Tour events, and we're like, look, this is an event in a space that you can go have fun in. Let's bring the information to you. But the thought is that we buy out the entire golf course so that your first interaction is not needed. We remove all financial barriers, and you can learn that a bucket of balls may only cost $10 to $15, and that if you don't have golf clubs, we're leaving these facilities and we're leaving with rental sets so that a person can go in there and rent these clubs for free, or go take the 7-iron out and hit a bucket of balls. So again, these are many ways that we're constantly looking to expand as we build up the Eastside Golf Foundation. But we're super excited to be able to give back to our own, alma mater and, go Morehouse.
Oh.
Well, so what we have here again, so this is this driver head cover here, which actually has the names, Eastside Golf, the names of many. First of all, it's representing the brothers who played the game for a very long time. And of course, we also, because here's one of the hats here. Now, see, I am real particular about my hats. So let me ask y'all a question. So do y'all have the fitted caps, or is everything the snapback? Because I hate snapbacks. So do y'all have the fitted? Because I'm so particular about my hats. I like, in terms of they got to come down low enough.
Right. You gotta hit the ear. Huh?
Yeah. I'm not, I know some of the hats where they sort of like sit way the hell. I'm like, I can't do those.
Yeah.
Those drive me crazy. And then we got over here. Hold on. So this is a really heavy duty hoodie here, and so. It's a really thick hoodie, so you've got the hoodie here, and then on the back, 1961 in honor of those who paved the way. And so, give it too tight. Give me the wide shot. Give me the wide shot. And so this is what the hoodie looks like. And then on the front of the hoodie, it says change. And so pretty cool. And then these are the 1961 golf shoes right here with the Air Jordan logo. So right here as well. And so I won't wear these. So these will go. In fact, so no, I won't. Because understand, Steve, give me a shot across the way. So yeah, as you see here, I've got several shoes on my, switch that camera. So you see here, I got several shoes over here. So I got these Air Force Ones that I got from the YouTube Black Conference. And they got Roland Martin Unfiltered on here. And so I've got these Nike Special Edition Black History shoes that were given to me by my man in Chicago. These are the Kaepernick shoes here. These are some Pumas. The New Georgia Project, they actually had some protest to the polls shoes that they gave me here. So these 1961s, I think they'll fit perfectly right above here. So we'll just go ahead and put these.
Appreciate you.
So we'll just sit them there for the meantime. So we'll do that.
Gotta make some room. All right. Now look, man, we know that's an accomplishment because getting on Roland Martin's shelf, that ain't easy. So we appreciate you, Roland.
Yes, sir.
All right, so they'll sit there. All right, so where can people get information on goods? Do we have a promo code, Carol? What we got? Okay, all right. So normally when we have for our segment, they'll create a promo code for folks who are watching to go product. But just tell people where they can actually go get some of the gear.
Yes, sir. So on Facebook, definitely Eastside Golf. We have a page on Twitter and Instagram at Eastside Golf. We have a website, eastsidegolf.com, and also we do have an app. Just look it up. It's Eastside. It's definitely trending, one of the top downloads in the world right now.
And currently, right now, we also got a homecoming collection on our website, so go check it out. We're only doing it for this week, a special homecoming collection with a little discount for everyone that comes out and support.
And lastly, we do have a docuseries on Hulu, 6-part docuseries. Just go on Hulu, look up golf. Eastside Golf will pop up, and you can binge watch that this weekend. It takes about a couple hours.
All right, cool. And again, just so you know, I don't play. I literally have this putting green in the studio, and I have the same putting green at home. So, yeah. I don't play. So it's like when you got to sit here and work on your stroke.
I got you. Don't miss it now.
Yeah, don't miss.
I need to watch.
Made it. Don't hate.
We definitely got to get out there, Roland. We definitely got to get out there.
My putt game ain't no joke. So
What's that handicap?
5.4.
Okay.
Yeah, See, when they go, okay, like, oh damn, okay, he not joking. All right. So we'll definitely do that when I come back through Atlanta. Y'all in DC, let a brother know.
All right. Sir. Thank you, Roland. Appreciate the time. All right.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate. Thanks a bunch. Folks, that is it for us. Let me thank Joy, Larry, Mustafa for being on today's show. Certainly appreciate it. Y'all know, so y'all see, so we do. So you hear us talking about on this show, talking about voting issues, talking about other stuff here. But the reason we created Marketplace is to be able to let people know about all the great things that are happening Black business, because we cannot build our community if we're not focused on economics. And so if folk are not aware, then we don't know. Tomorrow, don't we have my man tomorrow for Operation Breadbasket? Martin Depp? When is he? All right, so I thought we were going to have Martin Depp. So I'm always talking about the economic piece because, again, folks, we cannot sufficiently build our community if we're sitting here hoping somebody else comes along. We spend $1.5 trillion a year. And there's a whole bunch of us who are spending our money with companies that don't return any of that money back to us. And so if you're supporting Eastside Golf, you're supporting a black-owned company. And that's why we create this segment here. We've had a lot of different black-owned products. And in fact, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, dang, I need to create a whole shelf in here. Maybe I'll use that shelf over there. A whole shelf of a lot of the products that we've actually had on here that are actually from black-owned companies. And so that's why it's important. That's why we do this. And so but that's also why your support is important for us in this show right here. Let me say it right here, and I'm being very clear. There is no other black-owned media company that's doing what we're doing right now. You do not see a daily news show. We've got 2. Daily news show on TV One. You don't see it on BET. The Griot, they've got 2 one-hour shows. But we do 5 hours of original content per day. Ebony is not doing this here. Essence is not doing this here. Blavely is not doing this. Rolling Out is not doing this. I can go on and on and on. All of these black media companies, they're not doing what we're doing. They're not giving, and I want y'all to understand this as well. Literally, the amount of content, if you look at the interviews that we do, the original interviews that we do more black content, original news content every day than any other black media source in the country. That's why it's important for us to have this show. That's why your support matters. That's why I'm fighting against companies like PepsiCo who are not spending sufficient dollars with us to support black-owned media. That's why we have great partnership. We've done a deal with McDonald's. That's why we're sitting here. Last year we did with General Motors. General Motors hasn't spent any money with us this year and no plans for next year. So it's kind of like, okay, GM, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? I can go down the line. And so your support is critically important because if you don't support us in what we're doing, guess what? It ain't happening. So send your chicken money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, The Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. All right, folks, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?